Hello, everyone. You all hear me? Hello. Can you hear me? Awesome.
Yes.
Great.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Let's get this going. Okay, y'all see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Okay. All right. All right. So welcome, everybody. Let's see. Where are we? So open up the syllabus. Okay, everybody see the syllabus? Okay, let's see. All right, looks like we are finishing up week 5. We got started introducing JavaScript earlier this week. We talked about the bare bones, the out-of-the-box features that JavaScript comes with, that every browser, most browsers will support. And so today we're going to go and build on that we discussed earlier this week, and we'll introduce the assignment, talk about more of the assignment, and get you going, look at some of the examples there, perhaps start working on some of the build stuff so that we can demo what's all that about. And let's see. So hopefully this will set us up for next week when we will start introducing React.js, right? It's going to be a library. It's a very popular library that allows to create a simple single page applications. All right, and so we'll hopefully what we cover this week will help us greatly next week. Yeah, no quiz this week, but there will be a quiz next week on CSS. Oh wait, no, we did the CSS. It will be on JavaScript, right? There'll be a quiz on JavaScript. And the week after that, looks like we are going to be halfway through the course already. Wow. And so after the React.js week, it will have an exam the following Thursday. And that will cover everything that we've been talking about for the last half a semester. Okay. Let's see, before we continue with JavaScript, any questions?
Hi, Professor.
Hi, Fanu. What's up?
So I have one concern regarding our exam one. Actually, there is another course exam on the same day. So is it possible for you to change or move exam one date?
All right, I'll make a poll, see what people think about. I'm open to making it as easier as possible for everybody. But let's see, maybe it'll conflict with somebody else's exam later on. So let me open up a poll and see what the community says. All right.
Thank you, Professor.
All right.
Hello, Professor. What will be the format of exam one?
It'll be the same thing that we've been doing so far. It'll be open book. It'll be like a really long quiz, right? A lot of fill in the blanks, multiple choice, more of that. So it's the same format that we've been covering so far, and longer. It'll take the whole hour and a half.
Okay, thank you, Professor.
Yes. All right. So yeah, go ahead.
Hi, I have a request to make. Like, is it possible to increase more number of TARs? Like, I mean, it's very difficult. Like, though we join quickly, it takes almost like 2 hours. 2 hours waiting time, as well as we don't know whether how many people are in a queue and
right,
how much, because my number came after 2 hours, and my TA's officer already got over, and he was mentioning that still 11 people are there in the queue. So I'm just wondering, like,
yeah, actually, I think there's an app that allows us to schedule folks so that you don't have to wait and for a specific slot. Let's maybe we'll help implementing that so that you know exactly when to join or something like that, so you don't have to wait around. So yeah, we'll see what we can do to improve on that. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Professor.
All right. Okay, let's get going.
Hello, Professor.
Yes.
For the assignment 4, can we
Yeah.
use both our own CSS style sheets and Bootstrap, or are we just allowed to use the Bootstrap for the build part?
Yeah, no, I mean, the intention of using Bootstrap is that it'll make it easier, but there are certain things that you might need to override that are not supported by the default Bootstrap. So yeah, no, you're absolutely welcome to use your own CSS.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the assignment.
Sorry, Professor, one quick last thing.
Yeah.
Has the prior lecture been posted to YouTube, or should we expect that this weekend?
Yeah, I don't believe so. No, I downloaded it, but I never uploaded it. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll do that tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Professor, graduate students cannot see the Zoom like where the Zoom
Oh.
recording. Like undergrads can see, but graduates cannot see. Like until somebody posted on Piazza, we don't have access to the recordings on the links.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
Really?
yeah. So somebody mentioned like undergrads has that
Oh.
access.
Oh, that's weird. All right, I'll look into why that's the case. Yeah, I'll find out why is that. But you do have the access to the YouTube videos, though, right?
Yes. So that's why
do.
we wait
Okay.
for you to upload.
Oh, okay. I see. Got it. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. All right. So this week we're gonna focus on using JavaScript for implementing dynamic web applications, right? Well, actually web pages, right? And the applications that we've been working on for the last couple of weeks have been implementing a clone of Twitter, right? And right now it has been completely static, other than resizing and being adaptive, right? Adapts to the size of the screen, but we want something a little more than that. So we're going to be using JavaScript to do that, right? So this assignment walks you through using JavaScript to render dynamic applications, right? And in particular, we'll be introducing next week. We'll be introducing single page applications that are have an entire application entirely generated dynamically using JavaScript, and using very, if any, static pages at all, right? So we did for this assignment, we ask you to create a directory A5 where you're going to do your practice, right? And copy the old from A4, right? Copying the content and then renaming it to be A5 so that you can continue working under the practice directory. Okay, and under the practice directory for A5, you're going to create your own index HTML file for in JavaScript, so that you can start playing around with some of the concepts that we introduce here. Some of them we've already played around with last time we met on Tuesday, such as embedding a JavaScript right inside of your HTML document. We also said that it's preferable if you instead have a separate index file, right? And you have your code out there, and then you load it in using the script tag, right? So this walks you through a set of steps just to practice what we discussed on Tuesday, right? So you'll get a chance to play around there on your own, right? And then you'll commit that, and then the TAs are going to be able to see it. Okay. Also, this walks you through working with the console, right? Inspecting the page, and then if you click on console, right, you'll be able to see the actual console log that you'll be displaying. Okay. Now to practice with the console log, the assignment does ask you to copy some of the, write some code into the index file and verify that the console is indeed outputting the correct output, right? It walks you through some really simple concepts such as variables, right? Declaring some global variable, using var to declare a variable, using let to declare a variable, using const to declare a constant, which is a summation of both, right? And then it tells you, a lot of them says, confirm. Yeah, so use console log to print the title of this section, which is variables and constants, right? And then all the variables and constants shown below, right? So you're gonna literally copy this code, right? And then to confirm that it is running, we ask you to, in each section, we're gonna ask you the same thing, right? To print the title of the section, and then print out all the variables and constants below it, right? So your output to the console should be something like, variables and constants, which is the name of the section, followed by the variables, globals, and constants, right? Same thing with variable type. We ask you in the same index.js, right? Declare a couple of variables in there, numbers and strings and Booleans, right? Also the operator type of, right? It's a very important operator that allows you to query the type of a variable, and right. So an example of type of, right? Allows you to see that these are some of the data types. So let me just demonstrate, right? So in A5, you're going to have a directory called, I think, practice, right? And in there, I believe under a directory for JavaScript, you're going to create an index file in there. So index like that. So JavaScript. And then, for instance, if you're working on this particular section, you would, you copy this code. You would first create an index file. So we'll create an index file here. So index, right? And in here you can paste your code that you're going to run. You're going to load it from your index file. And this will be a source and then index.js, close that. And then maybe put here an H1, JavaScript. We run this. There it is, JavaScript. So we're in the right place. But if we look at the inspect, let's put that on the right-hand side, right? And we can take a look at the console. And there it is. So it displays variable types, right? Which is this right here, right? Displays variable types. But then the assignment asks you to please, right, to verify and use console log to print the title of the section, and then to display the variables and constants shown below, right? So even though we don't explicitly show you in the code, we ask you to please use console log, right, to print out all your variables. So number of variables, right? So let's print a whole bunch of these. So number of variables, print out floating point, string, Boolean, okay? And then is number, is string, is Boolean, okay? So if you run this, notice that indeed it displays what we expect, right? So this should display something like that, okay? Like this, right? Something like that. Make sense? So the TA is going to run your code, right? And they're going to check the console and verify that it's displaying the correct content. Okay. Boolean. This introduces the Boolean data types, right? Where you can declare constants with the value either true or false. In JavaScript, all the data types are dynamic, right? They're set on the fly when the code is interpreted and it's run. And so it's not declared a priori. Unlike if you use TypeScript, TypeScript does allow you to declare variables, the data types of variables, at code time. Here in JavaScript, all by itself declares because the data type of the variable at runtime, right? It implicitly understands that if you're assigning it a true, then this variable must be of data type, a Boolean data type, right? Okay, so yeah, so these are all variables, and just showing you examples of using the AND operator, the OR operator, the NOT operator, right? The equal, the not equal. Okay, so let's talk about the equal, the triple equal. Okay, well, we know what the single equal does, right? The single equal is assignment, right? You have a right-hand side, left-hand side, meaning copy the value on the right-hand side, copy it on the left-hand side. That's the single equal, right? Then there is the equal, right? Which means it's a Boolean operator asking whether the left-hand side or the right-hand side, right? If they're not if they're equal, right? If they're sort of equal, okay? It's a soft equal, right? What the equal sign does is that it will try to if the two sides of the equal sign are not the same, it will try to cast one or the other to the other data type, right? And so for instance, if you try to compare the number 1 and the number 1, then that's obviously true, right? If you try to compare, is 1 equal 2, then obviously that will give you a false, yes. But if you try to compare a 1, equal character 1, okay, you think, oh, well, that's not equal, right? Because 1 is a character, the other one was a number. But equal will say yes, it is. They are the same, okay? So because it'll try to cast one to the other, either the character downcast it to an integer or the integer cast it to a string, right? And then do the comparisons, and they're the same. Okay, same thing with 0 and empty quotes or things like that, right? So the lesson here is never to use equal, right? Because it might take you the wrong path, right, in your logic. So instead, you should always use triple equal. So what triple equal does is that it first checks and makes sure that that both sides on the left-hand side, right-hand side, right, that they're both the same data type first, right? If they're not, it's not going to try and cast it. It's going to fail immediately. If they're not the same data type, it doesn't even compare them, right? If they are the same data type, then it will go on and compare the character with character or string with string or number with number and whatnot. Okay. Same thing with not equal, right? You put the bang in front of the double equal. Okay. Anyway, so this asks you to try this out on your own and display the values of each one, right? Every section says the same thing. Use console log to print the title of this section, Boolean, there it is. And then all the variables and constants shown below, meaning all these constants shown here. All right. Once we know about Booleans, we can keep going and talk about conditionals. So conditionals allows a program to be able to make decisions as it runs, right, and decide that it will execute one part of the code or another part of the code. The simplest of which is the if-else expression, right? That allows you to do branching, right? Either do one thing or another. And just like any self-respecting language, obviously JavaScript supports if-else, and they have the syntax that you would expect, right? It has the if and then a Boolean expression. And if it's true, if your value is true, then it'll executes the body inside, right? If it instead is false, then it executes the else side, like you would expect. Okay. Ternary conditional operators. So this is it's a shorthand version of the if-else. Okay. That allows you to embed if-else statements in line with the rest of the code, right? And we're going to be using ternary conditional operators a lot, all right, all throughout the code, in lots and lots of places. It's very, very convenient. And let me just show you real quick. So here's an example. Let me just copy this. Let me paste it in here. I'm just gonna put it at the top. Okay, and so the way this works is that the ternary operator is made up of these two symbols, right? It's the only operator that takes 3 arguments, right? The first argument is on the left-hand side of a question mark, right? What it does is that it evaluates whether this is true or false. Okay, and notice that this ternary operator is on the right-hand side of an assignment. See that? Okay, so this whole thing is going to evaluate to something, right? If you just read it real quick, you'll notice that it will either evaluate to welcome or please log in, right? So greeting will get either the value of welcome or please log in based on the value of this expression. If this expression evaluates to a true, then the whole thing evaluates to the second argument, this second argument over here. If this evaluates to a false, then this whole thing evaluates to the third argument. Okay, and the separator between the second and third argument is this colon operator. Make sense? So when you run this, right? When you run this, let's see. Here's ternary. It spits out welcome. See that? Let's clear this and run it again. Ternary, there it is. Welcome. See that? Okay. Why? Because logged in is true. True. So it evaluates to welcome. There's welcome, and it prints out welcome. If this were false, right, and we refresh, notice that it says instead, please log in. See that? So it evaluates to please log in and displays the greeting. Make sense? Okay, this is very, very useful. You know, in our new ES6 world where we are preferring short, really tight code, right? That is very, very productive, and we're trying to keep everything very, very concise. Right, so we're going to be using this a lot. All right, let's see. Then, well, now that we know Boolean expressions, we know functions. I mean, if else and ternary operators, right? Let's talk about functions. So functions, as you might know, right? They allow you to group together lots of lines of code, wrap it inside of a named function, and then you can invoke it, right? And we played around with this quite a bit on Tuesday. We talked about the legacy syntax versus the new syntax. So this part of the assignment asks you to practice using these different syntax, right? Using the legacy, just plain old functions to add 2 numbers, right? Add 2 plus 4, and then we ask you to do the same thing to implement a subtract version, but using the new syntax, right? So for instance, if we declare this and we move it over here, right? And then we run it. It comes out to 6, right? Because 2 plus 4 is 6, right? Because we're calling add, okay? And then you can do, obviously you can do the same thing with subtract, but using the new syntax. The new syntax drops the keyword function. Instead, you have const. You're basically declaring a constant, a symbol. There's not a variable, it's a constant, right? And you're assigning it. You are assigning it a function. So this is actually the function. This is just a symbol, right? So the function is on the right-hand side. Okay, you're assigning the function to a symbol subtract. So subtract is now bound to that function. And then you can use the invocation operator, right? This is the parentheses. It's an operator, right, that invokes whatever the left-hand side is. So the left-hand side better be a function, and indeed it is, right? We assigned it. And so if this is a function, it will invoke it with these 2 arguments. Okay. Right. Just hold on a second. Can you still see my screen?
No.
Oh, what happened? Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Hold on a second. Hi. Oh my God, it's so hot in here getting here. Okay, so let's keep going. Yeah, so we here we're declaring a subtract, right? If we run it again here, we see that indeed it generates 2, which makes sense, right? We're subtracting 3 minus 1 is 2, right? So yeah, so it returns that value. Right, we give you a chance to play around with the implied return, right? So here's a where, you know, if the function just has a return like this, right? You can drop the return keyword and drop the parentheses, but you have to do both, right? You can't just drop the parentheses and keep the return, or keep the return, keep the or keep the return and drop the parentheses, right? You have to drop them both, and you end up with this, right? So for instance, multiply is 4 times b, right? And so we multiply 12, 4 times 12, 4 times 5, you get 20. Okay. Yeah. So this so now obviously you can always convert this into its regular return. The only problem with this syntax, right, when you declare it just like that, is that it makes it hard to debug, right? You know, if ever you want to put a breakpoint, you can't put a breakpoint there, right? So oftentimes we ask you to use this syntax instead. You know, it just makes it easier for debugging purposes. Unless it's something trivial, then you don't need to add a return, right? That you know it's good. You might just go ahead and remove the return, right? But once you're debugging and developing still, right, I would keep the return just to make it easier. What else? Parentheses. So here's the example that we saw in class last week, last Tuesday, right? Whether you don't need the parentheses as a parameter if it's only one parameter, but if it's 2 parameters, then you do need it. Arrays. We also played around with arrays last time. Indices. We did that. Adding and removing from the arrays. Yeah, I don't think we did that. Let's see. Number arrays. Let's do we have number arrays? Yeah, let me declare these. Let me declare that, and let me just demo that quick. So we have a couple of what is function scoped? What is this? What? Oh, there it is, function scope. Right. And what was the other one? Okay, I don't have these 3. Oh, constant. Okay, so function scope. I guess these are actual variables. Where is it? Okay, let me copy them here. Let me copy these here, like that. Oh, global. What the heck is this? Global. There we go. Notice it's complaining that it doesn't like my globals, right? Anyway, so yeah, we have these variables, and let's just print them. You can do console log and number array and string array and variable array. So let's see what that looks like. All right, so there it is. So first we're printing out the number array, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There it is. Yeah, makes sense. There you go. Then we're printing the string array. There it is. Right? And indeed, there it is, string 1 and string 2. And then we have this variable array, which is kind of like a mix and match of stuff, right? Where the first three are just regular variables that are up here, or constants, right? And you see them right there: 2, 5, and 7. 2, 5, and 7. Okay, there it is. And then we have a number array. Variable array. Where's variable array? Okay, so if you open it up, notice that there's 2, 5, and 7, right? The 2, 5, and 7, 2, 5, and 7. And then notice that inside it's an array that contains another array, right? In arrays, you can mix and match data types. You can have a couple Booleans in there, some strings, some numbers. Not that you would want to do that, but nevertheless, you can do that. You can mix and match data types. Okay, so an array that contains another array of numbers, or an array of strings, right? Or objects and things like that. Okay. Anyway, very versatile. Let's see, variables, arrays, parentheses, yada yada yada. Index and length. Yeah, we played around with that on Tuesday. You can remove and add things to the array. So for instance, let's push into the number array at number 6. Okay, so we have the number array has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And if we push a 6, it will become 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And the string array, we're going to add a third string. So the string array had what? Had two strings. We're going to push a third, and then we're going to print out both of them. Okay, so we'll print them again. We'll print them before, and we'll print them again. All right, so if we clear that out and refresh, notice that there it is. So it used to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we pushed the 6, and then it became that 6, right? And then this 2 strings then became 3 strings. So yeah, so you can mutate arrays very easily using JavaScript. You can also remove from an array very easily using splice. So splice, it behaves in a couple ways, right? It behaves first, it allows you to remove an element at a particular index, okay? Or it allows you to add, right, to the particular index, okay? So if it only has 2 arguments, then you are removing. You are removing at this location, and this is how many you are removing. So in this case, we're only removing just 1 element at location 2, meaning the 3rd element. Okay, this one is removing the 2nd element, right? Just one of them, just that 1 element. Right? You can remove 2 or 3 or 4 starting at that index. If you have 3 arguments, then Splice will put your content wherever you say you want it, right? So it will make space, right, and put it inside there. Okay, very, very cool. Loops, right? We did play around with loops last time around. We play around with maps and find, right? But real quick, right? We can take the number arrays. You can take the number arrays, and we can square. Where square is a function. Let's see, const square is a function that takes an argument x, right, and then returns, x times x. There we go. Okay, and so there's cubes, which is just multiplies the argument 3 times, right? And then we can print them again, so we can print it before and after. Maybe we can add a console. And this would be maybe squares, and call this cubes. Okay, so let's clear that, run it, and let's see, there it is. So squares, that doesn't look like squares. I'm printing out the squares, and I'm printing out the cubes. There we go. Let's see. So yeah, that looks like squares, right? 1 is a square of 1, 4 is a square of 2, 9 is a square of 3, 16, 25, and 36, right? And these are the cubes. Okay, so yeah, that works. So yeah, what map does is just iterates over an array, the elements of the array, and picks out each item, right? And then calls a function that you give it as an argument, right? It picks out that value, applies it to that function, right? And whatever that function evaluates to, right, it generates a new array with all those elements, right? So squares, it'll just squaring all those values or cubing all those values. Okay. All right, excellent. Let's see. Find. Yeah, we talked about find. Find allows you to find an element. All right. So for instance, if I have let's see. This one is find. What it does is that it iterates over an array, right, and applies this function here, right? Each item in the array, it applies it to this function. If it returns true, then it stops. Right, stops the iteration. Says, "Ooh, I found it." Okay. So if you print out, console log 4 and string 3, and then string 3. You can actually put these together in the same line instead of putting 2 lines. You can put a comma here, like that, so that you can have them right next to each other. So if we run this, where'd it go? Oh, there it is, 4. There it is, 4 and string 3. See that? So it found it here. Okay. All right, let's see what else. Index, we played around with that on Tuesday. All right, template string. So template string, right? It's really, really cool. It allows you to embed expressions inside of a string without having to concatenate, and do a lot of pluses and breaking it up into so many lines, right? You can put it in one single big expression. And so yeah, so for instance, if you have let's grab this example. Let's maybe put it at the top. Okay, so let's run it. Oops, we got an error. Uh-oh. So where is uncle blah 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 logged in. Logged in. Oh, did I declare it twice? Looks like I did. Logged in. Yeah, it's declared. It's already declared. And another one. Assignment constant variable blah 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 blah. Line 81. Line 81. Line 81. Oh, logged in. Oh, because okay. Just declare up there. I just leave it declare. Okay, let's run it again. Am I not printing anything? Console blah 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 blah. Save. User. There we go. Okay, so 2 + 3 = 5. There it is, right? 2 result 2 + 3 = 5. There it is, right? Obviously, that's worked. So here, notice that we're using concatenation, right? We're using concatenation. So what template strings allows you to do is not use this concatenation operator, right? We can instead embed, right? Embed the expression right inside of the template expression, right? This using these backticks. See that? So instead of having to use concatenation, this is much cleaner. Same thing here. It could be a string that we can embed inside of a larger string, or you can even embed, right, an expression, a ternary expression, right? Remember we talked about ternary, and we said that actually that's going to appear lots of times, right? This is an expression, right? It's evaluating whether this is true. If it is, it returns yes. If it's false, it returns no. So logged in is yes or no, right? And so we have here, welcome home, Alice. And oh, we never printed this, so we don't know what it is. So say console log greeting. There we go. So let's run that again. Yeah, logged in, no, right? And welcome home, Alice, whatnot. Okay. Yeah, excellent. So we're going to be using template script a lot, right? React.js uses it a lot. The assignment that we're going to be using today uses it a lot, and I'll get you going just to give you an example on how to go about it. Writing to the DOM, right? We actually did a lot of writing to the DOM last time around, but we're going to be using, so instead of writing to the DOM using plain old JavaScript, okay, that's what we played around with in the last lecture. We are instead going to be using jQuery. Right? jQuery is a library that allows us to skip over a lot of the low-level JavaScript stuff, right? That it's a pain, could be a pain, right? Especially because the language has fragmented a bit, so it might not be fully supported the same way across all browsers, right? During the 90s, there was a huge competition among the big players and the browser space, right, to see who was dominating that industry. And as part of that competition, some of the browsers started to browser vendors started to provide some features that were specific to that particular browser, right, that were not available to other browsers, or they were maybe not supporting some other features that were supported in other browsers. So kind of like some of these vendors, Microsoft and IE, would go off and do their own thing, right? And so that was kind of hard for developers, right? Even if you stayed inside this with the same vendor, with the same browser, from one version to the next of JavaScript, there were some things that were not compatible, right? That you would write code for newer browsers, right, with the latest version of JavaScript, but some folks were way back in 2, 3, 4 versions behind in their browsers. So that made it really hard for developers to write JavaScript code, right? And because the code gets downloaded right from a server, you write it, you put it in a server, and then it gets downloaded to be executed on everybody's browsers, right? But if you can't guarantee what version of the browser they're using and what features do they have or not on JavaScript, then it was just a huge headache for developers, to write something that would behave the same, for everyone. Okay. So one thing that that developers started to do is inside embedded in their code, you would have a lot of if-else code or switch case statements that would say, well, if I'm on Safari version 3.2, then this is what I do, right? If I'm on Chrome version 4.7, then this is what I do. If I'm Mozilla, this is what I do. If I'm in Opera, if I on IE, God forbid, right? I would do something completely different, right? So it was just a nightmare to develop source code like that. Okay, so then come in jQuery, right? So jQuery said, I will fix this, right? So what jQuery does is says, all those switch statements that you're putting in there, all those if statements that you're putting in there, checking for this, checking for that, don't do that, right? I will write those for you, right? jQuery, what they did is says, okay, I will check for you the versions of the browsers, the vendors, and whatnot, okay? And as long as you use this specific API, right, that is provided by jQuery, you'll be good, right? I will translate your invocation into checking all these ifs and else and whatnot, right? And I'll do the right thing, right? I will document what I do, right? And I guarantee you that this will work, in any vendor, any version whatsoever, right? It's and you can still use it's still plain old JavaScript, okay? It's you stay in the same language, but instead of using the low-level browser functions like document.write, right? Instead of using all those low-level or document.getElementById, right? Instead of doing that, right? You use their API, and their API uses the low-level JavaScript the way it's supposed to work, right? Depending on the vendor and the version. Okay. So anyway, so we're not gonna be using the low-level JavaScript ever again, right? At a minimum, we're gonna be using jQuery. Okay. Now you can download jQuery. Okay, you can go to jQuery, and you can download it from here, right? You can either download it, right? And the compressed version, this one, it's just one big file, and you just say save, right? Save, and you have the version of jQuery, which I believe I do already. Let me make sure I have it already. I do not, really? Okay, let me download it. I'll lead it. Okay, this is NEU fall, blah, 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 blah. So I can just save, and I will put it NEU fall, blah, 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 blah. Maybe that's exactly where I want it. There it is. Okay, so you can download it, right? Or right, you can also just link to it. You can link to it. Again, the same thing applies, as I mentioned earlier, for Bootstrap or for Font Awesome. If you're developing, preferably you have a local copy for developing, right? But once you're done and you want to deploy this on a remote server, I mean, you can still do this, right? But this is much better, right? Because your chances are is that folks will have gone to other websites where they have already used jQuery, and you don't have to download it again. Okay, but we have it. All right, so let's load it. I'm going to copy that and put it into my A5 practice. Oh, that was for JavaScript. All right, let's create another one here, another directory. I'll call it jQuery. A directory. I'll create here an HTML index, and I will load jQuery. There it is. I think that's the right place. Let me see. Apparently not. I guess I have to go up one more. Apparently not. Wait, I'm here. I go up one, up two. Well, I have to three, go up three. Okay, yes. Okay, good. All right, now I have jQuery. So now that I have it, what jQuery does is that it allows you to interact with the DOM much easier. Okay, so for instance, what we're going to do is that we're going to create an index file, just like we did before. So this will be JavaScript index. Okay, so jQuery does something that you should never do, right? But jQuery, it's they're famous, and if you're famous too, then go ahead, do what they do, right? But what they do is they declare a global, right? They declare a global function called jQuery, okay? And they also provide an alias, the $sign. So you'll see me use $sign quite a bit, and it means jQuery. Okay, it's a function jQuery. And yeah, in JavaScript, the $sign is a perfectly fine variable name, right? Some other famous characters are the underscore, right? The character underscore, like that, right? And their library is called underscore or low dash too, low dash. So yeah, $sign is a perfectly fine function name, and we're going to use it quite a bit, right? So let's see what it does. So $sign is a function, and it's a very powerful function. It's a very, very smart function. Let's paste that in here. Okay. So here's $sign, and am I loading script? Okay, let me load this my script that I just created. I'm going to say script source index. There it is. Perfect. All right, there it is. Sorry. So So yeah, so this $sign basically also means jQuery like that. Right, it's the same thing. Either I use the jQuery or the $sign, but I'm lazy. Right, I'm lazy, so I'm just gonna say $sign. Okay. All right. So what does this function do? Well, this function, let me what it does, right, is that it can take a lot of different types of arguments. Okay. If it takes as argument a function, and here's a function, right? If it takes an argument as a function, what it does is that it kind of waits until the entire document loads, right? And once it loads, right, the browser notifies jQuery and says, hey, I'm done loading. And then what jQuery will do is that it will call your function, kind of letting you know, hey, I'm ready. Let's go. Okay. So indeed, that's what we're doing here, right? What $sign, what if you push it a function, what it does is that it sets an event handler on the document, set an unload event handler, meaning when you're done loading and parsing the HTML and you have the DOM already done and you're done ready to render this, notify me, let me know. Okay. And this is the best practice, right? This is the best thing you could do, right? Yeah, so let's see if this works. Let's run this. Let's run this HTML. I'm gonna run it. Run. And I'm gonna inspect it. And the console says, there it is. It says hello from, oops, hello from jQuery. See that? So indeed, this executed console log hello world from jQuery. See that? So yeah, so it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. Perfect. All right. So what's so great about jQuery? Right. So let's play around with jQuery. Let's close that. So I guess this one should have at least h1 jQuery. So there's jQuery. Hello from jQuery. Okay. Let's look at let's see what's so great about jQuery. All right. So one of the things that jQuery can do is grab things that are in the HTML, right, and manipulate them, right? Do stuff to it, right? So say you have the following content. Okay, let's run it. There it is. So we have this couple examples. So we have a couple of H1s, H2s, H3s, right? You know, there they are. Okay. Notice that one of them has an ID. The other one has a class. See that? And this one has exactly the same class. See that? That's on purpose, right? And so on the code, what we're going to do is just demonstrate that jQuery can reference these elements in the DOM, right, and do something with them. Okay. So for instance, let's copy the code, this code, right, in here. Okay. So what is it doing here? You know, after it has been initialized, right, it invokes and says, well, I'm ready to go. Let's go. Look what it's doing, right? It's saying it's using the $sign function, the same function I used before, right? Here I had passed a function, so it ran this. Here I'm not passing a function, I'm passing a string. Okay, and the $sign function is very powerful. jQuery is very powerful. You know, depending on what you pass it, it'll behave differently, right? If you pass it a string, right? What does a string tell me? Well, notice that there's a hash in front of it, right? And then it has this identifier. Well, isn't that this here? It's this right here. See that? The hash, you know, like in CSS, it's a selector, right? And then you're referring to this ID. So basically what this is doing is almost what we did earlier, something like document.get element by ID. Remember that? Well, this is doing exactly the same thing, right? But what it returns, it's not the raw element H2, right? Not this raw element H2, right? it gives you back a super powerful H2, right? With superpowers that were not there before. Okay, you're going to be able to do things to H2 that you could not do with H2 before. Okay, it returns a jQuery version of H2, right? And we're assigning it to bind by ID. Here, we're doing the same thing, but notice that the string is a class. See that? It's this class over here. It's just two classes. So what this is doing is saying, okay, well, get me those two elements because both of them have the same class. So bind by class, it's actually going to be an array of two elements. And I'm going to be able to treat them together, right, as a group. If I say like remove them, it'll remove both of them. If I tell them, paint them red, right, it will paint both red, right? I can manipulate this. Okay. So anyway, so if we run this, let's see what it does.
Professor?
Yes.
So with the bind, or sorry, the dollar function, so if it's more than one class or one like selector that it references, so like in bind by class, there's two classes, right, that we define in that's with that string. Well, so it'll return an array, you said. So will is the return time always an array, or is it only if there's more than one? If it like the
Actually, it's always an array.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, there it is. See, look at see that? For the ID, it returns an array of one item. And this one returns an array of two items. See that?
Yeah, it
This
makes sense.
this is the first one. And notice that it's bound. See that I hover over it and it highlights it, right? Just to tell you which one is it bound to, right? Same thing over here, right? Notice that it grabbed both of them, right? Because both have the same class, okay? And they both are referencing each one, right? And I can treat them together, or I can iterate over them and treat them individually, okay? So yeah, so it allows me very, very easily to retrieve references to what is in the user interface, right? So yeah, so for instance, now that I have bind by ID, right, I can issue commands on. I can say remove, right? And now if I refresh, notice that boom, it's gone, right? That bind by ID, it's no longer there. It was there shortly for a second, and then it was removed. Notice that it's not even in the DOM. It's gone. You're only left with the two H3s, right? Or I can take the classes, right? The two of them individually. I mean, as a group, and I can change their style, their CSS style. I can say that the background color, right? I want it to be blue, right? And it changes the CSS of both of them, right? So I can treat them as a group, or I can iterate over each one and then treat them individually. Okay. I can give it multiple transformations of CSS where I can change the foreground color to be white. Right. So now the background is blue and the foreground is white. Okay. So notice that these functions, those are brand new functions that were not there in the raw HTML DOM elements that we were getting from when we were using plain old JavaScript. Okay. We could still do it in JavaScript, obviously, right? Using the style attribute, right? So what this CSS is doing, .css, which is doing is using the style attribute underneath to implement this, right? But this is so much more powerful. It's such much more expressive, and it behaves the same way regardless what the vendor is, the version of the JavaScript language that is supported on that particular browser, right? It allows you to forget about that, right, and not have to deal with, oh, if it's Opera or Safari or IE, God forbid, or Chrome, do this, that, or the other, right? The .css makes sure that it behaves the same way consistently across all versions and all vendors, right? So today is very rare that you will find somebody writing pure JavaScript. Okay, they'll use at least this veneer. You know, there's a very thin layer of abstraction on top of JavaScript. Okay, it's basically JavaScript. It's just that you're using a library, right, and a higher level library around that. Okay. So anyway, so the assignment asks you to play around and verify that indeed it's displaying displaying an array for both of them. Then allows you to ask you to play around with a couple of items here and change the style. Use CSS to change the color. Retrieve the attributes using the attr command. You can retrieve the ID or any attribute. You can change the attribute. You can read the attribute. You can set the attribute. Like for instance, if you have a class, right, you can set the class. You can say attribute in the class. You can add a class to the attribute. So you can set the actual class attribute, or you can modify it. So for instance, if you already had a class, you can add a class, you can remove a class, right? So that you can change the style programmatically. You can hide and show. So hide me, right? So for instance, you can say .hide or .show. So you can programmatically show something or hide it, maybe because you press the button and you want to hide something or show it, maybe like show it like a collapsed or expanded way of a UI, right? You can create brand new elements, right? New DOM, perfectly new DOM elements, and add them, right? So for instance, say you had this here, right? So if I go here, so here's a UL, right, that it's completely empty, right? If I render it, there it is, it's empty. It's not even showing, right? But I can create 2 line items. Let's copy that. So at the top, we'll do maybe at the top here. I can create those 2 line items. Notice that again, right? $sign is pretty powerful, right? If you pass it CSS, see that? It knows that you mean to go fetch something in the document using that CSS rule, right? Pattern match, and then it returns to you a reference. This, if you instead pass it a well-formatted HTML string, then it says, you want to create new content, right? So it knows whether you are referring to existing content if you pass it CSS. But if you pass it HTML, it says, oh, you want new content. Okay, well, let me create that for you. It creates a brand new DOM element. Okay, there they are, a new item, another item. Notice that they don't appear yet, right? Even though we've created them and they exist, right? They exist in memory, those 2 variables, right? They haven't been yet added to the user interface, right? We need to add it to this UL, right? That has this ID, which is empty, right? So let's do that. So we're going to grab this, I'm going to grab that, and I can grab that. Is it? Oh no, it's an ID. It's an ID. I can grab that here, right? And then pass it on to a local variable. And then what I can do is UL. I can say, well, now that I have a reference, right? Now that I have a reference to this UL, I can append to it, right? I can put stuff inside of UL. I can say UL, I want to append the new line, and I can append the next one. I can append also another new line, right? So what I've basically done, right, is on the fly, I've created these 2 elements, right? And then I've appended it to existing content on the screen. Okay, and that is going to be the basis of everything else that we do. Right? We're going to do a lot of appending, right? So what we're going to do is we're basically going to start off with a blank slate, right? An empty completely empty page, right? And then we're going to dynamically render content into that page programmatically, right? And that's the essence of React.js. React.js declares an empty root div, right? And then everything else is JavaScript, right? No HTML. And within JavaScript, right, you generate all the content that you're going to dynamically render into that one div, right? And we're going to get a chance to play around with that today using JavaScript as an introduction to what we're going to be doing next week in React.js. Okay. Yeah. So we've appended. You can also remove content. So say you had. Let me. So you have this list here, right? Or these two lists, right? In here, these two lists, right? Notice that one of the list items has an ID of remove this line, and the other one has I'm going to empty this line item, this list. Yeah. So if I render that, there's these are my two lists, right? I'm going to remove line item. What is it? Which one? I'm going to remove line item 3, and then I am going to empty the entire list. Right now, I haven't done that yet. Okay. So how do I do that? Well, I'm going to grab this code, and I'm going to put it at the top. Right, so I'm getting a hold of. I'm going to get a hold of the line item, and I'm going to get a hold of the UL. I'm going to remove the single line item, but I'm going to empty the entire UL. See that? And so if I go back and I refresh, notice that I'm missing line item 3, and I have completely emptied the UL. See that? Again, all those functions are jQuery specific. Okay. Changing on how are we doing with time? I do want to get to the build part. Let me get to the build part. So this to-do list, okay, let me do the to-do list because this is going to help you with the build, right? So let's build a really simple, trivial to-do list. Okay. So I'm going to create a folder called to-dos. I think that's what it asks you to do. So new to-dos, and I'm going to create here a JavaScript index, and I'm going to create an HTML. Okay. And I bet part of the HTML is I'm going to need both the Bootstrap, Font Awesome, and jQuery. So I'm going to just put that in the head. And I'm probably going to have to go up one more. Let's see. Do I have? Oh, I don't even have Bootstrap. But I do have jQuery, I believe. Do I? There we go. How come I don't have Bootstrap? Really? Okay, whatever. Yeah, so let's keep going. I'm going to, as part of the body, at the end of my body, I'm going to load my index, right? Which is right here. That's my index. Not doing anything, right? It's empty. But notice I've added a type module. See that? Type module. So type module, right, is what's going to allow me to do, right? Without the module, that type module, every single JavaScript file that I'm loading, I would have to declare it here in the scripts, right? Saying, script, put the file, loads it. With module, right, this is going to allow me to, instead of having to, declare the file here physically, I'm gonna be able to dynamically link the file at runtime, right? Very powerful. Allows me to treat them as linked modules. Okay, right. So there we go. So let's keep going. And so in my JavaScript, I'm gonna have and put in this alert just to see that it works. I'm gonna put that, and I'm gonna run my to-do list, right? And maybe I'll put here an H1 to-dos. And I'm gonna run this just to see that there it is. This is my alert, right? So my index page, my index.js is up and running. Perfect. And let me close that. All right, so let's see, what do we do? All right, so we're gonna add a div right here. I'm gonna add a div. I'll remove this to do. And this is the only content that's gonna be in our page, right? Just wd-to-do, right? That div with that ID. That's the only content. Everything else we're going to dynamically inject into here. All right. Okay, so how do we do that? All right, so in the index, what we're gonna do is we're gonna copy this. And in my index, I'm gonna remove that alert, right? And this is what I'm gonna do. Okay, this says, grab me the div whose ID is to do, and you're going to append the following string. And there's my string, right? So I have dynamically injected this div container because I had a bootstrap, but I don't have bootstrap, so it's not going to render as a bootstrap. It's going to render my to-do example, right? So if I run this, there it is, to-do example. That's the content that I have injected. I can take a look at the inspector, and there it is. See that div container to-do example, not the HTML file, right? If I look at the source code, notice that I only get the WD, to do, right? The source is not there, right? The source is I am dynamically rendering that at runtime on the fly, right? And there it is, the DOM. I am injecting that content. That's why it's rendering. Okay. All right. It gets more interesting. Okay. I'm going to, in a separate file called to-do list, in a separate file, let's say JavaScript to-do list. It's empty. I'm going to create a function. And notice what this function does, right? This function, when you invoke it, it just returns this string. See that? And the string contains a UL, a whole bunch of LIs, and a UL. It's a static HTML, right? Complete static. Okay. And then notice that it exports this to-do list. So that's a great new feature of ES6, right? That allows you to create these modules that are not global, self-contained, right? I don't notice that I'm not doing any IFI or any embedded functions or anything like that. This is all self-contained. And then in my parent index, I can import my to-do list function, right? It says, yeah, it lives in this separate file. Okay. Now I can use that to-do list to add content to this, right? I can embed whatever the to-do list evaluates to. So I'm calling the function, it evaluates that string, and then it gets part of the larger concatenation of my larger page, right? So if I go here and I render, not quite, I think I need to put a .js here. There it is, right? It's working. Okay. So notice what this is it's going to allow me to do. It's going to allow me to break up a page, however complex it might be, into smaller pieces, right? So that if I have a complex piece of page, like for instance, I want to build Canvas, right? I can break it up into multiple little functions, right? A function that deals with the left-hand side sidebar, another function that deals with the right-hand sidebar, another function that deals with this navigational here over here, right? One that deals with the middle, and I can break it out using good software engineering practices, right? And then maybe different teams can work on it, right? Independently. One team deals with the all this part of the sidebar. Somebody works in the middle, somebody works in this over here, right? And then somebody can we integrate into a larger component, right? And it builds the entire page dynamically, as opposed to having to do everything in a single page, right? Which is this tremendously benefits from being able to apply software engineering practices of working from top down, bottom up, and granularity and whatnot. Yes. So yeah, so we're going to be using this technique quite a bit, right? So there it is. So to-do list. So yeah, we got that. And we can even go a little further, right? So instead of say to-do list over here, each one of these could be its own component, right? Each one of these line items, because right now this line item is pretty simple. It's just a string, right? But imagine that it could have maybe checkboxes, right? Because it's a to-do list, and maybe you want to press the checkbox, right? And then when you press the checkbox, you want to draw a line across it, right? All that behavior of handling the checkboxes and the changing of the style, or rendering something, or maybe you want to be able to edit in place, right? You can click on the edit button, and then it allows you, replaces it with an input field, and you can change the to-do, right? Yeah, so all that behavior could live in its own single self-contained module, right? So this could be a to-do item component that deals with all that complexity, all right? So yeah, so let's create a to-do item. Again, it's up to you as an engineer to decide how granular you want this, right? So this is to-do item, and the to-do item, there it is, right? It's basically what it's going to evaluate into a line item, basically what we're expecting, right? We're expecting the whole thing to evaluate to a line item. There it is, a line item. But instead of being a hard-coded text, it's a function, right? We can pass it as an argument, right? The name of the to-do, the title, or whatever, right? And then just pass it as a rendering, and then we respond with the results. Okay. So now we can import the to-do item. I'll need the JS at the end. Okay. And so now I can replace this. I can grab the to-do, the buy milk, copy that, and then I can call my to-do item and pass as argument buy milk. See that? And I can call this 3 times, 1 for each, like that, right? And so if when I render it, it's going to look exactly the same, right? It looks exactly the same, but right now I can complicate things. I can make things a little bit, more interesting, right? Let's see. So here, for instance, instead of right, notice whenever we see something that is being copy, paste, that immediately should be, a flag, a software engineer saying, wait a minute, can't that be an array that I can iterate over, right? Let's do that, right? So let's create an array in a file called to-do, to-dos. Say new JavaScript, and so this is to-dos. And let's declare an array in here. I'm going to export the array. And then from here, I'm going to import to-dos from to-dos. Okay. Now that I have the to-dos, which is just basically an array, instead of having this, I can iterate over this, right? I can say, I'm going to embed here an expression, and that expression is going to be a map, which I'm going to take the array, I'm going to map over them. I'm going to map over it, and here's my single to do, and it's going to evaluate, right? It's going to evaluate to, going to return this to do here, whatever this evaluates to. right? And with the to do here. See that? Okay. And we're going to have to, after the map, we're going to have to join. Like that. All right, let's see what that looks like. And that did work. Oh, this .js. There it is. Notice it's rendering twice, right? One of them because we hard coded it, right? But now the other one is because we're iterating over it. So it's just 3 times. Make sense? Right? Obviously we can make this a little more complex, right? Where the to-dos, instead of to-dos, instead of being just an array of strings, is an array of objects, right? An array of objects where you have the title of the to-do plus a status, right? And the status is deferred, in progress, canceled, right? So now it's an object, it's not just a string. So that means that the to-do item, this, is not just a string. Now it's an object that has many properties. So this would be maybe to-do the title, right? So this would be to-do dot title. Yeah, that works. And then, you know, on the parentheses, I can show the status, right? You know, to-do dot status, right? So buy milk is cancel, pick up the kids deferred, right? Or let's do something a little more interesting. So let's add another feature, another part in the array where one might be whether done is true or false. So I'm not done. Okay. And now based on that, I can maybe have a checkbox, and depending on whether it's done or not, I can render the checkbox whether it's checked or not, right? So for instance, if I can add a checkbox, input of type checkbox, right? Notice that it renders as a checkbox next to it, right? So they all have checkboxes now. Okay. And then I can say by default that let's see, I can say I can embed another, right? If I say checked, right? If I have checked, then notice that they are all by default checked, right? If I don't have checked, then they're not checked, right? So, but I can determine whether it's checked or not depending on whether it's done or not, right? I can say I can embed here a ternary expression that takes a look at the to-do done. Is it done? If it is, evaluate the whole thing to checked. Otherwise, evaluate to empty string, right? So don't return the checked string. So this whole thing either evaluates to the string checked or the empty string, depending on whether the done is true or false, right? So if I render it, notice that just the first one is done, right? And if I change this to true, then the 2 are checked, saying that it's done. That makes sense? Anyway, so for your assignment, if you choose to accept it, asks you to do the following. Take what you built on last week, right? And break it up. Break it up into multiple components, right? So that you'll have a component that's going to render the right-hand side, a component that renders on the left-hand side. And this is using whatever you built for the previous assignment, right? So you already have this, right, for the last assignment. What this is asking you to do is to break it up into multiple pieces. Okay, so it's not asking you to rebuild the page. It's not asking you to do any of that. You should have that already done, right, for assignment 4, right, for this for tonight, right? So what this is asking you to do is, okay, well, take that, right, and instead of instead of having it all in a single page, right, break it up, right? Take all this and put it in a in who to follow list component, put this in a navigation sidebar component. Put the bottom here, kind of like a post summary list component, right? And this whole thing, right, like an explore component. And then this whole thing, 1, 2, and 3, put them in an explore screen component. Okay. Okay. So this gets you started, right? Same vendors for Bootstrap, blah, 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 right? Fun, awesome jQuery, and it starts off at explore screen, right? Explore screen. You're going to and this is the root div, just like in the to-do example. You're going to have a div, right? And then you're going to have an explore screen that's going to populate all this, right? It's going to be something like this, right? It's gonna look something like this. Actually, I think you'll need the JS here. .js. You're going to load the navigation sidebar. You're going to load the explore component, and you're going to load the who to follow list component, right? And then you're going to use jQuery to grab the explore component div, like we just did, right, for the to-do list, and you're going to append this string. Now, this string is basically what? It's an outer row, right? That adds a margin at the top of 2, right? And then it has 3 pieces. It has the navigation sidebar on the left-hand side. It has the explore component in the middle, and it has a who to follow list on the right-hand side. Okay. And so the navigation sidebar, there it is. It's whatever that is, however you implemented it. I'm giving you an example on what it might look like, right? And again, you might have done it slightly different, right? But it might look something like this. You have a list group, or maybe you did a UL. I don't know. Some of you might have done a UL. Here I use a div list group, and then a whole bunch of hyperlinks, right? A hyperlink for Twitter, a hyperlink for home, or a hyperlink for tweet, right? All these. And so, and this is hard coded, right? This is there's nothing dynamic about this, right? It's whatever that renders embedded in a return, right? And you'll need an explore. You'll need an export here. Yeah, you'll need an export here. Export default navigation sidebar. There we go. This is a module. Yeah, it is a module. Okay, good. Okay, excellent. So that's the navigation sidebar. So that's easy, right? That's easy. Then here, you're going to implement this right-hand side. Okay. And the way I ask you to do it is that each one of these individually is going to be an item in a bigger list. So this is a list of several items, and each item, just like in the to-do item, right? We have the big to-do list, and then we have to-do item, right? So this is a item, right? And that's going to be a function that takes as argument a who object, right? In the who object, you'll have an image, you'll have the the user or author, a handle, right? And then you'll take that as an argument, and then render the item. Okay, like that. So it should look like that. Okay, the object might look something like this: aviator icon, username, and the handle. Once you have the item, now you can make a list, right? Using the following array, right? That will have the images, right? The username and handle, right? For each one of these, everything that you need to render this, right? And so it'll use the item, it'll load the JavaScript with the object, the array, and then it will do a map, right? I'm not doing it for you. This is continue here. Basically, this is a map that iterates over the array, this array, and every item, it passes it to each who to follow list item so that it will render each one of these. Okay. Right. So you do exactly the same thing. You'll do this exactly the same thing for the bottom part, for this bottom part. You have each one of these items will be it will be a post summary item or something. And then this will be a list of all those. Okay. And then you'll build the whole thing. Okay. Right. That's the point. Right. That is what we are asking you to work on this week. For the challenge for the graduate, right? Now that you have the nav bar, sidebar, now that you have the who on the right hand side, and you have the post summary list on the bottom, so we ask you to build a page that has the same navigation. Instead of having the post items at the bottom, you're going to put it where the who list is, right? Who to follow list, right? And you should be able to just move it in place, right? You shouldn't have to implement anything, right? It's just reordering and put it in the right place, right? The challenge here is to create a post item, right? An actual post, right? That looks like that. Okay, and this will be your home screen. So the home screen has the same navigation bar. It doesn't have the who to follow list. Instead, it has on the right hand side, it has the post summary list, the one that it's at the bottom in the Explore screen, while it's on the right hand side in the home screen, right? So you'll just have to just move it over, and that's it. That's trivial. The challenging part is creating the home screen, right? And this part over here, right? Which is just a list of posts, okay? Which is called post items, which renders a list of posts, which you iterate over and you render that, okay? Anyway, that's the assignment for this week. We'll work a little bit more. We can play around with it a little bit more when we come back on Tuesday, so I can give you maybe some pointers. But most next week will be, focusing on introducing React.js, right? And the assignment, the React.js assignment for next week is going to be heavily dependent on, what you do here, right? It's going to look very, very similar. And you'll see that a lot of what we're learning in JavaScript and jQuery and how to modularize this into functions, right? You'll see that React.js builds a lot on top of that idea, right? Of breaking up components, large applications and large screens into small reusable components. All right. All right, excellent. That's all I have for you. Any questions?
Can I ask a quick question? Yeah, about the Explorer screen for assignment 5.
Yeah.
So I did since I'm a grad student, I did the challenge for assignment 4, and that screen, the dark mode screen, looks a little bit different. Like the who to follow is like shortened, and it has a show more section. There's words under it. Basically, it looks a little bit different. In this case for assignment 5, are we supposed to have ours like stylistically and layout exactly like the image you have here under the build section on assignment 5?
Right. So I'm suggesting that I'm suggesting you use Bootswatch, and instead of using your own styling, there's these plug and play style sheets that are built on top of Bootstrap that make your content look so much prettier, right? The one I'm using here is this one, Cyborg, and you can download it, and then you can what I did is I first, you first load the base Bootstrap library that contains everything, right? But then you can override, right? You can override your look and feel, right, to look a complete different way, right, with different colors, different everything. So I got it. I got this one from this one, the Bootstrap Cyborg, and this one, just by dropping that and leaving the default Bootstrap. This does assume you left most everything as Bootstrap, right? That you didn't do a lot of overriding yourself, in your own CSS, and you left it for the most part plain old Bootstrap, right? If you did that, then this is what you would end up. Yeah, this is what you end up with. Yeah,
Okay,
this
so
is
like,
yeah, go ahead.
so for the right there in the right, the who to follow section,
Yeah.
we should have five items, right? In our final one. Like that's a difference between the challenge section of assignment 4 and this image on your screen right now. So I assume we should have 5. Like we should make it everything about this look exactly like this one. Like the search bar should be white as well.
So are you saying that it's not? Wait, so assignment 4 is not?
Yeah, if you go to assignment 4, the challenge section, the dark mode, it's I mean, I think it's an actual screenshot from Twitter, so
Okay, I see.
it looks a little different.
Right. Yeah, this is an actual screenshot.
Yeah, so that's what I mimicked. Mine looks like that. My assignment 4 looks
Right.
like
So you
that.
did
So
just 2, like you had 2, for instance, right?
right, yeah, and the show more thing.
Yeah.
And there's a few
Well,
other things throughout
right.
there.
So in 5, so in 5, I actually gave you the data for this. Right, I gave you the JSON object for this, right? So if I say, find relativity space, right? So you're not trying to make it look exactly right. I mean, the data makes it look exactly right. Right. Since everybody's using the same
Okay.
JSON file, it should render the same content for everyone, unless you're using a different JSON file, which you shouldn't, right?
Okay, so yeah, but in general, it's supposed to look exactly like assignment 5.
Yes.
The picture there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's good.
Cool.
Hi, Professor, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
If, for example, when we did the checked thing, for example, if you're inside a div and you wanna add a class dynamically, do you use the this operator, this dot add class, something like that?
Where did you see that?
When we did the checked thing, that we had a ternary operator.
Let's see.
It was in
Here.
it was in the practice part, in the to-do list.
Okay, yeah. To do item here.
There. In this particular case, you're putting like a checked. But if, for example, I want to change the style of the input, how would you do it?
The style, you mean style like that?
Exactly. For example, I want to do this. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Because
for instance,
I've been having an issue with the
Yep.
I'm
So,
doing the challenge, and I've been having an issue.
so you could
where we
say,
have
right,
to-
we could say background color, right? Say background
Yes.
color equal, right? And then this could be an expression, right? And this could be that says, to do done question mark. And so this could be, so if it's done, then you could say green. And if it's not done, you make it red, right?
Perfect. Yes.
Wait, that didn't work. What happened? Console errors. Oops, mine, blah, 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 blah. Oh, Bootstrap. Oh, it's complaining that I don't have Bootstrap. What? Where did oh, Bootstrap. The to do. Okay, so let me just comment that out. What's wrong with this stupid thing? Inspect, are there any errors? No errors. Input style. Background color.
Yeah, it's there anyway.
Oh, okay, no, because I don't, I don't want to do that. To the list, do item. Not on that, on the line item, maybe.
Okay, okay.
There.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. I've been struggling with
Yep.
that. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Hi, Professor.
Yeah.
Yeah, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Yeah, can I share my screen?
Let's see. I think I need to turn that on, right? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Can you see my screen now? Hi, Professor.
Actually, I can't see it. Where is it? Are you sharing?
Yeah, I'm sharing.
I don't see it. Well, maybe I need to stop sharing. Wait. Okay, now I can see it. Go ahead. Yep.
Okay, great. This is my result from homework 5 build part.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, really?
Oh, wait, except for why is that white? I mean, black.
Which one?
The spaceship, starship.
Because you said it.
Oh yeah, I did put it black, didn't I?
Yeah. So
yeah, I meant to put it white. I don't know why it came out black.
Okay, I will change that.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm sorry. If you leave it, you won't be penalized because I don't know why, whatever I put it black. Yeah, put it white, please.
Okay, no problem. And this is my challenge part. I have a question. So the right sidebar is it's like this, right? It's like,
yes, perfect.
Okay, and I have a question about my main content, the post list.
Yeah.
I don't know why you see here. Here, because the first post have a link here, right, at the bottom, but the second post doesn't have. So I'm wondering how to get rid of this, because you can see from the image, there's no text box.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
and so are you saying, oh, can you show me again?
Yeah. So mine's like this.
Oh, okay. So you have no text.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, what you probably would do is you would have like two versions of this, that if you don't have text, you would not render the bottom half. And if you do have text, then you would render the bottom half. Right. Yeah, we didn't talk about that, but it would be like a ternary, like a ternary, where you say, in an expression, is this null? If it's not null, then do this. If it is null, then skip it. Right,
I
like
see.
that. Yeah.
I see. But still do that in my like.
It would be in your post list, right? On your post list, or your post list item, your post list item,
items.
or post item. Yeah.
Okay.
So the bottom half, you would say, well, if there's no text, then I'm just gonna skip it, not show it. Yeah.
I see. That answers all my questions. Thank you very much.
All right. Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Looks awesome. Yep. Very good.
Thank you.
Professor?
Yes.
Okay, so actually I enrolled this class through late registration form. So for assignment, the due date is still it's showing me 2 to 3 weeks earlier. So should I submit my assignments there, or should I wait for you to extend that deadline?
So which assignment are you still working on?
I'm done with first assignment.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah, no.
HTML.
So yeah, there's a group of like 10 or 15 students that came in late, and so we're just being very lenient with that group.
Okay.
Just make sure that we keep an eye on you folks, that to just give you more time on it. But I'm not going to change the today's. We just know when we get to you not to penalize you. That's all.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And when can I give that quiz of HTML and CSS?
Well, if you're ready, I could open it up for you.
Actually, no. Will you open it for me next week?
I'm sorry?
Will you open that quiz for me in the next week instead of this week, because I still have to go through CSS.
Okay. What about HTML? Could you do HTML already?
Yeah, I did go through all the slides, but I'm still working on HTML assignments.
Oh,
Haven't
you're
done
working on
that.
HTML? Okay. Oh, okay. You just finished assignment 1. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, next week.
Okay, and actually, I already raised this issue on Piazza that in that spreadsheet, my name is not there. That spreadsheet where TAs are assigned for every student. So, can you add my name to that spreadsheet?
Yeah. So let me send the message right away. So this is Madhura.
Yes.
Vaidya.
Yes.
It's just a minute. So. Madhura Vaidya. Vaidya. Okay, they should be reaching out to you soon.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Professor.
All right, sure.
Yeah.
Hey, Professor.
Hey, how you doing? What's up?
Not bad. So I actually just had a few doubts that I wanted to kind of get some more clarification on. It's to do with the bookmarks page specifically. Would you mind if I share my screen?
Go ahead. Sure.
Great. Can you see that okay?
Yes.
Great. So compared to the rest of the pages, I think I had, this page specifically was quite challenging for me. And I'm not sure if, I maybe forgot something, that was already taught to us and I just couldn't recall it. But my first question was, when we're with the CSS, what I usually find myself doing is, creating styles first, and then just copying those over to a class and just, putting in class equals, this thing. So I was actually wondering if you think it's better to have one class for each kind of item that we're working on, like a paragraph or an image, or do you think it's better to like have a class for just one?
Yeah, that's a very common. There's 2 common strategies. One of them is you name everything on your HTML and your DOM, right? So every table, body, table row, blah blah blah. You give it a specific name, and then you can retrieve. You can then use the CSS to refer to it and style it. Another approach is that you only name the things you want to style, right? And then you come in and you refer to that here in the CSS to style it. Another common or even a combination of the strategy is to, you don't give names. Instead you for instance, instead of using WD paragraph, user ID, window, border, like that, right? You generate utility classes. One called, for instance, on line 28, right? You declare a class that is called, WD border top. I don't know what color is that, gray or something. I don't know.
Yeah, gray. Yeah, dark gray.
Yeah, and maybe you have you have like a palette of colors that you have a name for them, right? Gray 1, gray 2. So you might create a utility class called, WD border top gray 1, right? And then another one called WD border left gray 1, or one that says WD border gray, right? And then it just puts grays all around. And then that utility class, you can use it, anything that you want to paint with that color, right? So instead of having those same 3 colors repeating in a whole bunch of places for different elements with different names, you have the same class being used multiple places, right, as utilities. Sure. So it's a little bit of, a mixture of those 3 things where everything has a name, and you specifically target that one thing. But if you see that it's a style that you're going to be using over and over and over it, right, then you might want to give it a useful name, right, and then you use that class in many places. So it depends, right? If it's something very specific, or it's something that you want to be able to reuse in many different places.
So I'm guessing it's a matter of like personal preference and choice when it comes to what strategy we use. Is there a best practice?
Yeah, well, you should try to avoid using style. It can be, I mean, it's fine to play around with and see immediately what it's doing. But oftentimes you forget it and you leave it, right? And it's a very bad practice to leave a style in there. You'll get a huge ding by your colleagues.
For sure. And from other classes, I know that we try to kind of cut down on repetitive codes,
yes,
coding.
Absolutely.
As well.
Yes.
That's definitely something that I've been trying to focus on, but just like it has been really difficult with making multiple classes, but then
like for instance, this vertical align top, right, where you have that style everywhere on line 25 and then line 29, right? And maybe it's the same padding top, say, right, and you want to use it all over the place. Maybe that that makes sense to give it a name to the class and then just apply that class everywhere.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, if I had more time, that would definitely be my next logical step. For sure. And just a few more things about this specific page. Hope I'm not taking up too much time, but
no, go ahead.
So I remember distinctly I had a problem with, so over here, what I did was I used tables, basically. I used tables in terms of, making sure that, the profile picture is like, kind of aligned with, this is basically one cell or one cell. And this is another cell. I'm not sure if that's the best way to do it. I'm just trying to think of if there's like a better way to do it. That's number.
So in general, right? In general, tables should not be used for layout. But if there are cases where it's such a pain in the butt to achieve the same thing with CSS that just a regular table with a couple of spans just makes it so much trivial. So I mean, that's fine. That's okay with a table. In general, you would try to achieve it just with plain old divs and CSS and floats or flex.
There's a website where it kind of you tell it the dimensions of the table that you want, and it produces the code for you.
Yeah.
To ensure like the formatting is correct and everything. So I have been using that. It has been quite useful and kind of, I first visualize how I want it to look like, and then I kind of just, copy paste and then fill in the blanks basically. But another huge problem that I had was this image right here, and then this text right here, like what I did was I worked in a very hackish sort of manner. There's in reality, there's like two boxes here. One is for the image and the other one is for the text, but it looks like it's one. I'm not sure if you could probably tell there's two. The line is a little bit thicker over here. So I was trying to find a way to kind of like have a container, so I was trying not to use any tools that we did not learn before this assignment. And I'm sure, had I gone a little bit further in the material that we were learning, I'm sure there are a few other more concepts that would allow me to do this. But what I, essentially did here was, it was a very hackish way, it was tables, and then I'm trying to find it over here. Not sure if if you just give me a moment, I can probably find it here. So yeah, so basically what I've done here is there's basically a table here, and what I've done is I've formatted the, so basically in essence, these two are two very different objects. They just look like they're together because, I've tried to align them in such a way. But I was, I was just wondering if there's a better way to do this, if there's like a standard.
Typically every rectangle that you see on screen potentially is a div, right? So it's very common that the top image would be a separate div, and the bottom one would be another div. And together, right, that is also just one single element so that too would be a div around it. And perhaps the border would be applied to the outer div as opposed to individual divs inside of it, right? Because if you apply it to the divs inside of it, then you're not guaranteeing that the divs are necessarily the same width, and that they might not be aligning one on top of another, right? So ideally you would put the border just around the outer one. Nevertheless, right, you could style each individual div inside individually. Like for instance, the inner div where you have the image, you could give it rounded corners, right, but no border. And the border you might give it only to the outside one. So I mean, it depends, but it's very common that you break it up and put boxes like you're doing, inside of each other so you can apply different styles independently to each one. So no, it's you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. So you would definitely recommend, like when I'm approaching any assignment, any design a web page, would you recommend that I approach thinking about how to implement that page in terms of div within a div within a div, or would you recommend, I think you mentioned it's probably not the best idea to think in terms of tables, correct?
Right. The kosher way of putting, rendering things in as a grid is to use divs, right, and only use tables for tabular data, where you're going to have columns that have the same data types, that you have headings, that each row indicates a different record, which in this case it's not, right? You're using it specifically for layout. But again, if sometimes it can be very challenging to do certain things in just plain old CSS.
Yeah, for sure. And finally, I was just wondering if there's how would have Twitter designed this? Just curious to know what kind of tools would they have used? would it be Bootstrap or?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Bootstrap, they participate a lot on Bootstrap,
Okay.
and they collaborate, and they have their own styles that they make available as well as components that are reusable, and they make that all open source. Yeah, and you're welcome to reuse that. Yeah, sure, definitely.
Okay, got it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this was so challenging. I was thinking like there has to be a better way, but
Yeah,
yeah, appreciate that. Thank you so much. Professor.
sure. Okay.
Yeah. Hi, Professor.
Hi.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. So about the A4 assignment, right? For the graduate students, we have to do the challenge. So are we supposed to update the existing Explore screen, or like I did it in a separate folder named challenge? So should I just replace the white colored screen with the black one, or is it okay to have it separate?
For which assignment is this?
A4.
Yeah, so
Okay.
A4 for the challenge, I think it asks you to use the dark.
Yes.
Yeah, the dark one. So what I would do is that I would have a version that I can plug and play and easily remove that style, right? So that you can easily add new styles, including the boot swatch that I suggest. So that's not, it's you don't have anything in your HTML that ties you down to a particular style. Ideally, you would leave it with simple bootstrap classes that you could easily swap out the look and feel. If you start, adding too much stuff into that HTML, you'll make it very, very hard to override with libraries such as boot swatch, and where you can swap out different look and feels.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. Looks like Manushi had her hands up.
Hi, Professor. I have a couple of questions regarding assignment 4.
Okay.
Shall I share my screen?
Sure.
Professor, in the challenge section, what I did was for this magnifying glass, I used as an image. And but since it's an image, I'm not able to change its color.
Can I see it? Which one?
The magnifying glass, which is in black color.
Oh, okay.
So I wanted like requirement said it has to be in gray color, but I used an image inside the class.
Oh, it's an image.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's an image, you can't change the color. Why aren't you using I mean, don't you have the icon from Font Awesome?
Yeah, I used that, but what was happening was since I did padding and all, when I was changing the screen size, that padding was getting like fixed, like location left, right.
Actually, let's try something real quick. Is that the magnifying glass you have there?
Yes.
Class. Okay, so can you see where it says color dim gray?
Yes, so that is for search Twitter.
Yeah. So do something. Enter. Click there. And then okay, what's it called? Just a second. Okay, type filter. And tab. And then invert. And then put a 1 in there. Yeah, see, it's white.
Just a minute.
Where did you put it? Is it on the magnifying glass? I don't see it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but I don't see it on your CSS.
It's
Oh, there it is.
yeah, but it has changed the color itself. Like it was darker earlier.
Well, then you must be styling something different as well. Can I see the, oh, it's being applied to what? Oh, the input field.
Yes.
Yeah, no. So where's the image though?
That is there only.
Oh, that's the image. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, actually, it doesn't look too bad. It looks pretty good. I would maybe change a little bit the color. Maybe change the background color to something lighter. Maybe try. No. Dark gray. Yeah, because it's what I'm doing is that I'm inverting the color. So if you put light, it'll be dark. If it's dark, it'll be light. Yeah, look, that looks pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. And I have like that icons.
Mm-hmm.
It changed the color, but in the requirement, these are like empty, not hollow. So I tried.
Oh, yeah, no, don't worry about that. Yeah, there is a version of Font Awesome, which is it's only the outline. I forget what the style is.
Like I checked in Font Awesome, they have it at FAL, but I think that is pro version.
Yeah, it might be only available to Pro if you pay for it. Yeah.
So Professor, what I did is I changed the font weight, and for some of the icons it worked.
Oh, really? Oh,
yes,
wow.
but
Okay.
the like 3-4 items which are also different in your image, like I
Yeah.
think they're from different, it's not, they are gone, like
Yeah,
configuration.
no, just leave them the way it was. It was perfect. Yeah, leave them the way it was.
And
yeah, no, I have the Pro version. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
yeah. And Professor, so then that more button, the dot should be of black color then, like 3 dots.
Yes.
Okay, I'll change that. And Professor, what I did was I did the changes of the border lines because like if you see here, we have the border here, these lines. But for some of them, there is no border colors, but this outline border is there. But when I change it, it changed everything. Like it's like what I'm trying to say is if you see here, the border is there till here, but not for these things.
Oh, okay. I mean, it looks fine to me, but I mean, you could target the bottom one not to have border colors if you want. Okay, so all right. So for instance, you didn't right over here. You don't have the border colors, right?
I tried to remove these ones, like I did border.
Yeah.
But it has removed everything, like from the div itself.
Yeah, so I would remove maybe only the ones that say top and bottom, but I would leave the ones that are left and right.
Okay. Okay, I'll try that.
Yeah.
And Professor, like if you see in the challenge part, these things are different. Show more and this policy is there, but in our
yeah, no, we don't. Yeah, we don't need that. No.
Okay, so I just have to fix the border thing and rest looks good.
Yeah. Fix the border. Looks awesome. Very good.
Thank you.
Let's see. I think we had the leap.
Yes, Professor. I had some questions. So first thing, Professor, I'm using for colors. I'm using Bootstrap predefined colors like button primary and text primary. These colors. Would that be? Or should I go and have custom CSS for those, like custom colors?
So are you saying that you want to use custom colors instead of the default ones? What do you mean?
No. Like as in the description, it said that we should have color as like closest as possible. What's shown in the screenshot for that challenge part for assignment 4. So I just wanted to confirm, like let's say like for dark part, I'm just using dark color which is defined by Bootstrap. Would that be fine? And for blue color, I'm just using primary, like text primary. That would that be fine?
I mean, So I mean, don't I specifically say what colors to use?
Yes, so for blue color, like tweet button was in blue color. So to see for tweet button for making blue color, I didn't specify the exact color which was shown in this picture. I just used button primary, which is defined by like bootstrap. So it is little bit like showing different than what's in the snapshot of that Word document.
Yeah.
But it's
No, I would use the right. So for the first part, right, the non-challenge part, I would use the default colors that come with Bootstrap, not override them at all. But for the challenge, I believe I do ask you to change at least some of the colors, right, especially the background color, and I guess the foreground color, right? But for the first part, the non-challenge, I believe I don't ask you to override anything.
So, Professor, do we need to submit separate files like for practice? For build part, we need to submit the white color one and for challenge one, this black one. Would that be separate?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
One question, and one another question I had, like for assignment 2, I missed to submit practice section because I thought like this is just a copy paste, so I didn't submit that one. For that one, I lost 52% of marks for assignment 2.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, I've explained a lot that anything that we have in the assignment, it says specifically to copy any example that we do to that should be part of your submission.
okay, so I texted the day when assignment 2 grade was released, so I was just hoping like maybe counting some late day submission something, and it would.
Yeah, I know we'll be lenient the first couple of times, right, that this happens. But please, don't let it happen. Send a message to the TAs, and I've told them to be lenient the first couple of times. But to take the points off anyway, just to make sure that you do it. Right? If they just if they don't give you a grade and reach out to you and you don't answer, blah blah blah. If you lose the points right away, you'll get to do it.
Yeah, so actually I asked them, like I had the practice section, like I had, but just I didn't include that. So I asked the TA that can I submit now, but they said that I need to get the permission from you.
Yeah, please send a message to the TAs. Let me send the message right away.
I actually emailed you with the same thing the day I received the grade. I think.
I'm sorry?
Like I emailed you and also put the private Piazza post regarding this one the day when I received the grade. I think maybe it was lost somewhere or something.
Wait. Okay, I'm just sending a message to the TAs. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So this was it, Professor. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so they know to accept, to give you, take points off, but let you resubmit if you had forgotten, to do that part. But they will be lenient the first couple of assignments, but then afterwards,
After that, I've been submitting. Like once I got to know.
Okay.
I've been submitting.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you.
Sure. Who is next? Abdul or Lei?
Hi, Professor. Can I share my screen?
Go ahead.
Oh, wow.
Oh, was it Abdul?
Oh. Yeah, you called my name, but like she just like jumped the spot. So.
Oh, is it visible?
Yes.
Okay. So, Professor, I'm actually stuck in assignment 4, and I've been trying to do the medium part. Like when I'm resizing it, it is going down, and otherwise it's fine. Like, for the small screen and large, it is fine. But for the medium, it is going down. I don't know how to solve that.
I can scroll down, all the way down.
Yeah.
Okay, so scroll up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you right click on that search Twitter?
Yeah.
On the search Twitter,
Okay. Just a second.
Okay. Also, can you put that so it renders below it, the inspector? No, go back. Yeah, you know how to render it at the bottom. So see the three dotted lines, the three dots. Yeah, at the bottom. Put it at the bottom. There we go. And can you make it taller so we can see what's going on? Can you make it taller?
Start here.
Just longer. Just yes.
Okay, so taller. Okay.
Yeah, but just taller. Yeah, like that. Yeah, yeah. Grab it and make it stretch it up. Can I take control?
Yeah.
Let's see if it works. The control. Okay, all right. That's as high as it'll go. Okay. So this scrolls down, huh?
Hmm.
So you're saying that large, medium. Oh, I think this should be 10, no?
10, yeah. I was checking something else. Okay.
There we go.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right, sure. All right, Abdul.
Perfect then. Okay, my question was that like earlier you said that like well, someone already answered the first question. My second question is that you said easily like replaceable, like the dark mode and then the light mode that we should able to like easily like replace, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just saying that that the layout, right? The HTML should be mostly using Bootstrap, right? And that if there's something that's specific, maybe for instance, if you wanna maybe move the text, for instance, that it's overlaid on top of the image, for instance, that's not a Bootstrap feature. You're doing that yourself with additional styling. Well, I mean, there's no other way of doing that, right? Because that's not supported by Bootstrap. So that's fine, right? But you should try to minimize any manipulation to the divs or the HTML outside of the Bootstrap elements. The more you get away from Bootstrap, the harder it is to keep the same layout, but then easily change the look and feel. That's what I was suggesting.
Okay, I have one other question. So like in assignment 4, assignment 3 actually, I could easily just pad my image into like for the search bar, I could easily like pad the image and like put it in the spot and then move the actual text a little bit to the right. But like with Bootstrap, I'm not really sure how to do that exactly.
I'm guessing it will be the same way. You just have to give it maybe a class or an ID, and then in a separate CSS style sheet, right? Maybe like in an index.css, you would override and change the style for that particular element, right? Maybe we change its position to be absolute or relative, right? So that you can nudge it up, down, left, right, wherever you want to put it.
Yeah, so like whenever I did that, like it just ended up causing more like harm than good.
Perhaps you want to share your screen. We could take a look at it. I don't know.
Yeah, okay, I'll just share my screen. So like basically like if I change where is it? Yeah, so just for like the eye can see, it's not really like meant to be like that.
Are you sharing your screen? I can't see anything.
Oh, you can see my screen?
No.
I'll share it again. Can you see what I'm saying?
There you go. Yeah, I see it.
Oh, this? Okay, you can see this. Okay, so like, it's just more like in the previous assignment, I could easily like pad it, but like, I could easily pad it here, but like, even though I did exactly the same thing, it still doesn't like technically work.
Okay, okay, what is it? So are you talking about that specific?
Yeah, that specific time. Like I already put the search, like the search icon there, but like it's just to move this to the right. But like no matter how much I try, it doesn't move to the right.
So it's this one right here, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure how you achieved it in the previous one. But typically, it's a combination of adding padding and moving it around a little bit. So that's the icon, right? That's the icon, and this is the input.
Mm-hmm.
So are you not being able to move this?
No, I moved the icon. It's the it's like the text. It's like the placeholder in the search that I'm trying to move to the side.
So did you try padding?
I did, and that didn't move it no matter how much I tried.
Really?
Unless I'm missing something, then yeah.
Isn't that what you want?
Yes, but there's no way because I did that multiple times, but like it didn't make any change.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how you do it.
Okay. Yeah, that's basically all I had to ask.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see who's next.
Hey, Professor.
Sure.
It's Alvin. I have a question on the left navigation screen. I could show my screen. 1 second.
Does anybody have like a really short question that you shouldn't, that you like want to just ask real quick? No. Okay.
Yeah. Hi, Professor. I'm Chintan. Earlier you mentioned that should we keep the build section and the challenge section separately for grad students? For A4?
Yeah, probably I was not. Yeah, if I don't think I specifically asked to do that, so I'm
Okay.
not going to. If you kept it as one single thing, I'm not gonna penalize you.
Okay, it's fine, right?
It was just easier for us if it was separate. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Professor. Yeah. That'll...
Hey,
right.
Professor.
Hey, how you doing? What's up?
I have a quick question for this, the navigation screen on the left. Where do we get the colors from? And like the tweet, but like the icons for like follow and things like this, like, are they Bootstrap icons? Because
yeah,
I don't think the dimensions are specified for like how they should be.
So those are regular buttons that I changed the radius. I overrode the radius. So if you use a plain old Bootstrap button, right, it'll paint it with that color, right? That's the primary. I think it's button primary color, and that's the blue. That's the Bootstrap primary color, blue. And then I only overrode it. I think I created like a class with you know, I think I called it rounded corners. I think I called it. And then what it did is just it made the radius I don't know, like 50 pixels, and so that's what you get.
What I did is I just made Bootstrap had this thing called rounded pill.
Oh, okay. See, yeah, you did it better than I did.
But is that like, it doesn't look like it, like it doesn't look exactly like how you kind of, you know, it's just, it's not like what you probably intended.
But you actually have you can make it different sizes too. There's like button large, button medium, and so you could achieve even bigger size by adding those styles as well. Probably you're having like, you're probably using the default size. But I think they have like 4 different sizes.
Yeah, and I did I think this is for blue primary, and I did that too as well. And it just seemed like I wasn't getting like that type of blue.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure
No,
if
yeah,
that
no,
was
that is a
okay.
standard blue. That's a standard blue. Yep.
And so the same thing should apply for follow. I could
Yep,
use rounded
exactly.
pills and then stretch them out. Okay. And then a question for, let's see, for the spacing, like there's spacing above this whole container. So like here, I have like, this is the container, and then this is the row, and then I have, you know, 3 columns. How do I get that like little bit of space?
Yeah,
Is
if
it
you go
applied?
to, if you go to Bootstrap's utility classes, there's margins, paddings that are standard. So I think it's like MT-2 is like, that means margin top. Actually, I have it in
Like
here.
this
Oh, there
one?
it is. There it is. Yep. I think I use MT-2 at the top.
Oh, at the top. Okay.
Yeah.
And that would be applied like, so this is, I would be applied at the container or the row?
Yeah, the container would add the to the entire documents, right? Or you might want to add it only to the row.
Right. Yeah. Just to
Depends
the
how you
row.
want to do it. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds good. I think that those are my questions.
Sure.
Thanks.
All right. Bye. Good luck. Aoshi, Yangjing, John.
Hi. I had a question about assignment 4.
Sure.
So one thing was I made the right part similar to the challenge in terms of I just had
Cool.
2 and then I had to show more in this. Is that okay, or would I lose?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Beautiful.
Okay.
Love it.
Okay, perfect. And then the other question I had was for my search. For some reason, my text is coming as like, I can't make it white when they, like when someone tries to
Interesting.
type.
Interesting. Okay. Okay, see? Oh, did you fix this from last time?
I did. A TA was able to do it earlier today, so.
That's weird. They.
I don't
Oh, see?
know. Are you
What
able
the
to
what?
navigate?
No, what the heck?
Oh yeah. Okay. You
Is that
are.
me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So let's see. So it's this input, huh?
Yes.
Oh, you have color gray. Okay. Yeah, you can override it to be whatever color you want.
But then when the user types, it's not coming as white.
Oh, interesting. What?
Yeah, I ran into the same issue and then I didn't.
What the?
Because like when you type and then you like move your click away, then it shows up as white. You like, yeah, then it.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I see. Form control. Something else is changing it to dark color. Input color, internal light color dark. What is changing its color? Yeah, you have to look it through here. What is it that's changing its color? Color black, background color black, watercolor. Form control. Watercolor, blah, 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 blah. Input. I can't find what it's doing that. These are overwritten, so they're not doing it.
Yeah.
This is the input, right? Color black. What is this class here?
Oh, it's just, I think, to make the background black. I think that's what it was on the right.
Oh, I see. Is that class you come up with?
Yes.
Why I didn't see it here. Why didn't I see it
I
here?
think,
Place all blah blah blah. So you called it, what did you call it? Color black?
I think color dash black.
And that's oh, there it
It's
is.
like in the
Okay.
fourth box.
Okay, but it's only for the foreground, right?
Mm-hmm.
What the heck? Okay. Let's set another one. Okay, so we're gonna do here, right? Say, okay, where do you have your color black?
For the text or oh.
No, your CSS. Yeah, where's your CSS? Is this it?
Yeah, that's it.
And what's your color block?
I think we scroll down. Oh, right there, the last one.
Can you paste for me? Can you copy that and paste it?
Yeah.
Okay. Ah. Can you copy this under here?
Yeah.
Okay, now refresh. Go back to browser and refresh.
Oh, yeah, that fixed it.
Yeah, I was changing it for the focus. The default focus, when you like click on an input field, it gets the focus. It was, but the default is black, so we're overriding it to be white.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Other than that, I didn't save my copy of like when we had it like the white screen and everything. I kind of wrote over that code and created this, so I don't
Yeah.
have a copy of that at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. It'll make it a little bit harder in the next assignment. I think it assumes, well, actually, no, you know what? You know, that's fine. I was hoping that if you kept the original one, you could just drop in the boot swatch style.
Mm-hmm.
But that's fine. I mean, you could use this, and that's totally fine. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And it's
Okay.
okay if like some of the content is a little bit different, right?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, you're going to render whatever's in the arrays that I gave you. So,
Yeah. Okay.
and yeah,
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
sure. Good luck.
Thank you.
Hi, Professor.
Sure. What's up?
Yeah, I have very quick questions. Can I share my screen?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. So here is my challenge part for homework 5. Yeah, you just told me that we need to use if and else, right?
Yep. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I did that. But I find that it's the code will be really long because I say if then return if the content is true, then return blah 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 blah. The whole page, I mean the whole post. And then else,
Well, not the whole post, right? Just the bottom part.
just the bottom part.
Yeah.
Okay. And then another question is that if I shrink my screen size, you see this part, they like overlap.
Yeah, you wanna make sure that you give it a little more space on the left hand side, right?
Yeah, because I only give one column for
Yeah,
this.
right. You need to, as you get smaller, you should give it, like 2 columns.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And another question is that one resize the.
Yeah.
Oh, same
thing.
Same thing. Okay, thank you very much.
Sure. Lei or John or
am I next?
Sure.
I think I am. Yeah, I just had a question about it's probably been asked before. Let me share my screen. I'm having trouble with like the search bar and putting like the button in the little area right here.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really know how to do that. Like I was looking up how to do it, but I just don't really understand. And then also stacking like a text onto
Sure.
the
What are you giving control? See if I can
yeah.
Okay, I would like to say, Professor, you just ended up fixing mine, like you showed me how to do it, but like when I went into like the CSS file and I created a class for it, even though I implemented it, it still didn't move. But like I did what you did again in the browser, but like I couldn't like, even though I did that in the class by itself, it still didn't like.
Yeah.
Can you request for control one more time?
Okay,
that works.
I think I can control it. Yeah, let's try it. All right, so let's see this again. So let's right click here. Let's see. That's slow. Inspect. And let's move this maybe, oh, not that one. Oh, wow, it's slow.
Oh, do you want me to minimize it?
No,
I'll minimize it.
No.
My fault.
Okay. Okay, that's I, right?
Yeah.
So what we could do. say position absolute. Oops. Okay, and then we can start moving it around, right? So left, we can move it around a little bit. Okay. And then we can move it from the bottom. Position wherever you want, right?
Okay.
Oh, maybe that's too much.
Yeah. What about the fact that like the search bar doesn't really cover the left side of the screen? Like when you kind of move things like that?
Oh, wait, so you, oh, where's this button? What, okay, but you have this button here. Oh yeah, this should not be in a button.
It shouldn't.
Yeah, so let's move this here. Can we move this here? Maybe. Let's see if it lets us move it. Oh, crap. Let's refresh. All right, so can we take it out of the button? That's putting space, additional space that we don't want.
Okay.
Where is that? Can
And
you
then,
go to that page? Yeah, where is that? Can you go there?
Yeah, I got you. Think it should be over here. Yeah. This should be the
Yeah,
button.
so okay, so take
Remove
out
this?
the eye. Yeah, remove that. And yeah, and remove the closing button.
Where's the close? I have no clue where I put the.
On line 82, right there. At the end of line 82.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you did
Okay.
put. Okay, you did put padding left. Okay, so yeah, so the only thing you have to do there is just set the position absolute, and then left and top
Okay.
or
I
bottom,
understand.
whatever.
Yep. Is there a way of
And
stacking this?
same thing for the yes sir. Yeah, so you would put that we do position absolute, and then you can move it and put it anywhere you want.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Hi, Professor.
Sure, what's up?
Yeah, just a quick question because I enrolled the class late as well, but till now I was not assigned to any TAs. So
Lei Feng?
Yeah. Because the thing is no one give me the grades, so I don't know how about my previous assignments. How's that going?
So I'm sending a text right now to the TA. Just a second. So Lei Feng, right?
Yep.
Okay. So let me know if they reach out to you.
Okay,
right?
cool. Thank you, Professor.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
John, I think you've been waiting for a while now. Well, everybody's been waiting.
Oh, you already just helped me right now.
Oh, okay, okay.
I should take my yeah.
So Aditya or Shiying?
Hi, Professor.
Hi, what's up?
So I had a doubt about assignment 4. Let me just share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm having trouble positioning this magnifying glass, search glass. So
Okay.
the way we did that in assignment 3 was just position absolute and then we just pad it to the right. But the same thing when I do it here, because this input box is bootstrap, the magnifying glass is going below it.
Okay. Can you take control?
Yeah.
So let's see what's going on here. So this is the input.
Yep.
This is a div. That's a span. Yeah, this span. Oh, there's an input group rounded. Oh, I see. What you do here. Interesting. Okay. Maybe we could put it in front. Let's see what's up with this div. Does it have a Z index? Display flex. Yeah, it doesn't seem to have. Okay, I think we could move it forward. Yeah, see that? Now it's in front.
Oh, what is Z index, by the way?
Z, so just like this X and Y, like top and bottom, Z is how the depth
ZX, right?
into the yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah, thanks. And one more thing, as you can see this part, I can't I can't like put background color for this selected pill. Not pill. I have used tabs.
Tab, yeah. I can't. Okay, inspect. Let's see. Selected, active, and selected. So you did color white. Okay. So what do you want it to look like?
The background should be black.
Oh, the background should be black. Okay. So WD. Okay, so that's the only thing. Okay, what about this active? So active looks like active says that is white.
Oh.
Okay, so you need to override this. Right, so you need to grab this, right, and declare it in your own style class, and then you can override this. So you could copy this whole thing.
Okay.
So you could copy this, right? Copy, and then go to your editor. Is this your editor?
Yes.
So put it anywhere you want, right? Let's put it here. And then the background color, you can make it, 0. And this would be FFF.
Okay.
So is it this one?
Wait, just one question on is it like the whole line? Because like you just highlighted the whole thing.
Yeah, I highlighted the whole thing.
So like the nav tabs, the nav item that show, the nav link, the nav, like all of them, the whole thing.
Well, I mean, I only selected this, right? So only that will not necessarily nav link. And maybe I do want to do nav link too, but see how this is gray and this is dark? That means that's the rule that's being triggered, right? That's the rule.
Okay.
So I know that's the one I want to override. Like same thing here, right? This is also seems to be. Oh yeah, see now this is yours. It's taking this is firing, and these are being overwritten. See that it was a strike through.
Okay.
So we're overriding the default behavior. You might want to change the border color too, which has this.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Which we left it alone. Yeah.
And one more thing, so here we have to like underline this with blue color. So how do I do that?
Yeah, you'll need Well, what I did is I had two divs. So the outer div gave me the spacing, like with padding or margins between the different tabs. And then the inner div, I was able to underline the border. I just make the bottom border blue like that. All the other borders were 0, but the bottom border was blue and 3 pixels wide.
Oh, okay.
So
But
the content wasn't just text. The content was like an inner div.
Oh, okay. Because this border is gray itself. This one.
Yeah, well, no, that all those are just no borders.
Okay.
Or transparent or whatever.
Okay, I'll try that.
Okay.
Can we change the color of this placeholder?
I think so. I don't remember how to though.
Yeah, we can't just do as we do it with text.
Maybe, I don't know.
Professor, how did you invert the previous person's color thing you did? Like what was
With filter invert.
Filter invert. Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, I'll stop sharing. Thank
All
you.
right, good luck. Yeah, you can change the color with : placeholder.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I'll try.
Sure. All right, anyone else? Sheen,
Yes,
you had
Professor?
your... Yeah.
Can I share my screen?
Sure, what's up?
Can you see my screen now?
Yep, I can see it.
So just a quick question. So on the sample right here, because the content is different than the build part.
Yeah.
Are we supposed to do exactly the same thing, or we can just keep the?
Yeah, no, you can keep the content, just make it look that way. Perfect.
Okay, so we can keep the content from our
Yes.
build part, just change the.
Yep, exactly.
The from a style, color, something like that, right?
Yep, perfect.
So we don't have to follow exactly the content right here.
No.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, just a styling.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Professor.
Yep. Anything else? Hi.
My screen.
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, okay. The first question for me is, it looks like the picture is too far away from the right side. I'm not sure what I did. And
Yeah, can I try it?
sure.
Okay, can you change that to English?
I'm not really sure how to change it to English.
Oh, how do I inspect? Is that inspect?
Yeah, it is inspect.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so here, oh, why it's not float right? Float right, float. Oh, interesting. Huh. Oh, see, that's too small, doesn't fit.
Yeah.
So maybe you want to do this 10, right?
10.
Or maybe this 9 and this 3. Oops. Okay. And then now float right. There we go. Yeah, so now it's better, right? Yeah, the size, this has to add up to 12.
Add up to 12.
So this was too small, right? And this was too small. So this, instead of 8 and 2, this should be like 9 and 3. right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, and also the next question for me is to make the Twitter is much longer. Should I use
What you mean this button here?
Yeah.
I think there's a bootstrap to do that. I forget what it was, but you should be able to just say, let me see. 100%. Also the radius should be bigger, right? So that it's more circle.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Oh, and also the button looks more longer, like your button is more.
You mean wider, like?
Yeah, more wide.
Like too big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why? Border.
I mean the street sizes too.
The what?
The street size. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think you wait too much border. You don't need. I don't think you need the border. Just 0 would be. You could just turn it off. I think you don't need the border width.
I don't need the border.
Yeah, I know. I think this looks better like that.
Yeah. And also I use CSS to make the space X start shape to become white, but it's not like white. I'm not really sure what happened.
What are you talking about? That you mean this here?
Yeah.
You mean this text here?
Yeah. I mean this text become white, but it not works. I'm not really sure.
So if you change to white, it won't work?
Yeah.
But it just worked. There it is. No, it's white.
Yeah. And also I should put the space X to the picture, not out of the picture.
Right. So you could say bottom. Right. You can make it like that, no?
Oh, sure.
You can make it the font size a little bigger.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Right? Something like that.
That's true. And also, you can also see the search bar. The icon is out of the search Twitter, the placeholder.
So this one, right?
Yeah.
Column. Oh, so you put it in a column.
Mm-hmm.
So I would not put it in this column. I would put this together with the input in the same place.
In the same place?
Yeah, so let's see. I would maybe put it in here. Can I copy it? Maybe copy element. Can I paste it in here maybe? Paste. All right, there it is. Okay, so I'm gonna for now I'm gonna just remove this. Okay. So yeah, so if it's in the same place, right?
Yeah.
Now you can change its position. I can say position absolute, and now I can move around. I can say bottom, right? I can say left. I can put it wherever I want. See that?
Yeah.
And then the input, I can give it a padding so that I have space on the left. I can say padding, oops, padding on the left. Right, so it starts like that so that I can now type.
Okay.
See that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
That should work. All right.
Sorry, I just have one more question. You just make sure the color black is color black. Which
again?
I'll just make sure the color black is color black, but like
Sure.
I'm just like inverting the colors now. I don't think that would be too long, but like, is this black? I don't think this is black personally, but then like because like I went to Bootstrap. Where is it? Yeah, I went to Bookshop and like this was like the color I saw.
Okay.
And then like I'm not really sure what's like, because like I just inspected where is it?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be black. I
It
mean,
doesn't have to be black, black. Okay, that's all then. Okay.
Yeah, no,
Just keep copying and pasting then. That's fine. That's that's all. Yeah,
Sure.
that's all. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Lou or Xiying?
Yeah, I don't have any question. And
No. Okay.
have a good night.
All right. You too.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you.
All right. Take care. All right. Good night.